so he kept calling the police on us, and our host kept coming round and like having these shouting fights with the police outside. It was quite comedic thinking back now, but we were really scared that we were going to get chucked out and have nowhere to go.
Welcome to the Less Trodden Path podcast, a dedication to untangling the world in a raw and honest way, following your gut and your dreams, no matter what they may be. Often they are different to what is known as the norm, a step out of the comfort zone, the path less tread. We are here to help inspire you to take your own path by sharing both our own journey and the stories of others too, making it clear along the way that anyone can do it, whatever it may be, with all the ups and downs, the good, the bad, the pretty, the ugly included. Dreams take time, but if you put your all into it, time doesn't mean anything. This week we speak with a VanLife couple who we came across whilst originally looking for our own move out of the norm. You may know them as Driving DeeDee or Courts and Meeks, the guys with the bright orange van and most fun energy. We decided to reach out to Courts and Meeks to find out more about their journey to financial freedom from full-time 9-to-5 work life in the Leeds and Newcastle cities to living alternatively and travelling around in their self-converted van. They share their roadmap advice from taking whatever steps necessary to live the life they wanted over the life that's supposedly known as the norm, alongside their lockdown experience in Spain, extra voluntary work on top of their own work, rescuing their dog Sally, and the return to the UK lockdown for Van Build 2.0. It was a pleasure hearing yet again such an inspiring story into taking the leap to living life to the max, rather than work to the max and a little bit of life. Here is Courts and Meeks' very own Less Trodden Path.
Spending my savings 'cause I don't have any. There's too many places to go. I'll be spending all my time living out my bucket list.
Hello.
Hey, it's us. Sorry, I was just trying to call you guys and it was like doing that weird ringing tone that it does when it's like not working. I don't know. So,
Oh, that's all right.
yeah,
Don't worry.
but it's all good. We're here. So, how are you?
We're good. We're good.
Yeah, good, thank you.
How are you guys?
Yeah, a bit cold this morning.
Yeah, a little bit chilly.
Must
is
admit.
it?
Yeah, I think it's actually nicer where you guys are in the UK at the moment than it is where we are, which is
Oh
crazy.
my goodness. Well, it's like 2 degrees here, so I don't
Oh,
know
really?
about that.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
not then.
Maybe not.
Maybe we're exaggerating.
Have you got blue skies though?
Yeah, we have got blue skies today, which is nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. But no, other than that,
Whereabouts
it's all
are
good.
you guys now?
We're just west of Valencia, kind of towards the edge of the Valencia region.
Okay.
Slowly making our way back up out of Spain, but still waiting for a parcel that hasn't arrived yet. So just kind of just seeing the area a bit more.
Coasting along until then.
Just
Yeah.
cruising.
We know how that feels. We've done that a number of times. We're just waiting on a parcel. And just like, okay, we'll just move around. We'll go 20 minutes down the road. And
Yeah.
Then we'll go another 20 minutes.
The thing is, like, it's okay, but I guess after a while it's like, oh, I just want to move now. Like, I've seen everything that there is to see here.
Yeah.
But it's all good. It's all okay. How are you guys though? How's life?
Yeah, it's all right, actually. We're cracking on. I mean, even though we're in lockdown, it doesn't feel like it too much for us because we're just cracking on with rebuilding the van. So
Yeah.
that's what we would be doing whether we were in lockdown or not.
Yeah.
Very good.
It
Lockdown
hasn't really
activity.
impacted us. Just grateful that the DIY shops are still open. So
I bet. Yeah, that's so cool though. But I'm looking forward to hearing all about the what is it, 0.2 or 2.0? What do you call it?
2.0.
2.0. That's the one. No, I'm looking forward to hearing all about
Sorry
it.
that I had to change the time this morning as well. I've got another meeting at 11:30, so I will have to dash off probably in about an hour's time.
No,
so.
that's fine.
Perfect.
Honestly, like that's perfect to us. That's just enough time to chat about everything. And yeah, honestly, it's totally cool. No worries at all. But cool. Yeah, like just going straight in, I guess. And
Okay.
obviously that's cool with you guys. As I've said to you before, this is not an interview. This is as chill can be. over a call to guests on our podcast. So thanks, obviously, for being a guest. We really appreciate it, and we love it as well that obviously there's kind of a bit of a small story, I guess, behind how we kind of reached out to you and stuff, in the sense that we were very interested in your van when you put it up for sale. How long ago was it now? 9 months ago, was it?
In the summer last year.
Yeah, it was.
Which is funny, and then now obviously you've changed the plan, which is really cool. But before we head into the whole van and all that, what kind of brought you to where you are now, or even just to being where you are now, if that makes sense? Like, what brought you to even starting VanLife? You know, where were you before, and kind of what? Yeah, just throw it out there. Let us know.
Okay. Well, before we started VanLife, so we bought the van back in March 2018.
Correct. Yeah.
And we've been together now for like 6 years, coming up this summer. So by that point, we've been together for a couple of years, 3 years.
3 years. Yeah.
And it's always something that we've kind of talked about, is travelling and doing things differently. I think a lot of people do when you're working full time as well. And we're working in Leeds city centre and Newcastle city centre across different at different points. So we were looking for a little bit more escape, I guess. I think that's a common theme for a lot of people who live this lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I can't even remember how we first came across VanLife. It was probably just one of those things where it popped up on Instagram or a YouTube channel or something like that. And you just thought, oh, that looks pretty cool. And then you start to dig around and look into it and think, oh, right, maybe a lot of people are doing that. Maybe we could do that. And we kind of made the decision. We were like, well, maybe before we go whole hog into it, we should rent a camper van and see whether we can actually live in it, tolerate it. Yeah. But I don't know, I think it was like 5 days we rented one for. And we took it up to Loch Lomond in Scotland and stayed up there, and we absolutely loved it that weekend. It was just amazing. And that was kind of the start of it. And then exactly, it's a bit spooky really, exactly 1 year to the day after we rented that camper van, we bought our van. So like it just so happened that it was exactly 1 year after. And then that's how it began really. And then we set off on the very slow journey of converting it, which took us like a year the first time around.
Wow.
All in.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, it's obviously, you know, it's a really cool thing to do, convert your own van kind of thing. I think it's definitely like makes it all that more special, knowing that you built it. But that's awesome. Like, what so obviously you were just working in the city kind of leading up to it and stuff. Was it just okay, I'm bored of this, I want something else? Or, you know, did kind of something else happen for it to, you know, to kind of end up like that, for you to decide to do that? Or was it really just it just happened and felt right?
No, I don't think we were like pushed to the limit. I think we both still really like our jobs, and we work part-time on the road anyway. So it wasn't that we felt like disenfranchised with it or anything like that, but we did feel that we wanted to change how we live our lives. And I think that the catalyst for that was going from 40 hours a week was kind of average really with the jobs that we had, and wanting to have more time to ourselves. Because like when you finish work at Friday at 5 o'clock, we used to cycle home, so it was an hour cycle, wasn't it? Then you'd shower, and then you'd make dinner, and it would be 8 o'clock, and you'd be knacked.
Or even later sometimes. It was like we were eating dinner at like 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then we were like, all right, we should go to sleep now because we've got to get up so it's ready to cycle to work the next day.
And then you have your weekend, which is one day where you're doing your food shopping and you're doing your bits and bobs around the house, and then you've only really got like one day, but then you're thinking about work again on the Monday, and it was like, there's no way that we're going to do this for the next 40 years
or longer.
And that's when we decided to really try and alternatively think of how to live, which then I guess, led us down the VanLife path. But I think we were lucky in that, or at least I was lucky that the employer that I was with when we bought the van, I'm still employed by, and they're really been very flexible about how I can work part-time and remotely, while still like adding value to the company. So I think
awesome.
It's quite a unique situation that we find ourselves in.
Being employed and being able to travel at the same time has been amazing. We wouldn't be able to do it. I don't think it was necessarily just van life we were looking at. So it was just, we were open to anything, weren't we? Like whether we like get a narrow boat, or whether we get a van, or whether we backpack or anything. We were just looking for something different.
It's funny, that was just what I was about to ask you. Was it just van life, or were you thinking of anything different? But that's really cool that you kind of had the options. Did you try any of the other options, like you said, the boat or the backpacking, or did you just dive straight into the van?
Yeah, well, we dove straight into the van, I think. We did look at like canal barges briefly, I think, but it would still require us to be quite, even though you're moving, you're quite rooted or static in a certain sense. So you, and we wanted something that was really going to change the way that we lived and really challenge our lifestyles and the habits that we'd got into. And it's very easy to settle into a routine, isn't it? Like getting up at the same time and doing your commute and working and seeing the same people. And it just gets a bit monotonous. So we were just looking for any kind of change.
I think van life was the happy medium between the freedom of going where you want, but also having that comfort of a base, even though the base moves with you. I think that's better than backpacking, because it's just literally you in a backpack, whereas there's a lot more security, or at least the perception of security when you're in a van.
I really like that. That's like, it makes complete sense, and I think it's definitely something that you know, it's obviously a move that's kind of happening a lot more these days, but it's still there is still fear in that. I mean, I guess like with your work, for example, before you decided to do the van and work from the van, did you already know that your business would allow you to do this, or did you have to kind of put your foot in there and be like, hey, look, if I did this, would it be okay? You know, was it kind of a not sure, but I'll ask, or I know and they'll say yes kind of thing?
Yeah, we bought the van before I'd discussed with work about living in it. So I think we by that point we decided that van is more important than what we do for work. So we'd almost come to the conclusion that we will build the van and we will move into it, and if work allows it, then great, and if not, then we'll find something else.
Wow.
Like a lot of people live to work, don't they? Like that's the society that we live in, but actually you should work to live, and if you come, just because you've got a career in one area doesn't mean that you have to do that forever. So we were open to changing it if it didn't allow us to live the life that we now wanted to.
But when I first brought it up with work, they were quite open with it, and then it sort of went through a series of presentations that I had to build out for my boss, then their boss, and then their boss, and eventually it was one of the directors that said, "Yeah, it sounds like a cracking idea. I want to do it when I retire in America." So,
that's awesome.
It was really good, actually.
You almost had to put the pitch it to them to say, like, this is how it would work. These are the challenges that I see coming up from me working remotely and the rest of the team still being in the office. Because this is obviously pre-COVID as well, so working remotely wasn't really a thing. Which is strange to think now, considering everyone's doing it. But you had to go through quite like a rigorous process of saying, like, this is how I'm going to overcome the challenges and still prove my worth, and they were totally on board with it, which was amazing. My work, however, were not so on board with it. So I was at an agency, a different agency in Leeds, and I kind of tried to do the same thing and put together a presentation, and they were supportive of my idea, and they were like, oh, it sounds great, but I don't think that the company will get on board with it. They were a little bit more traditional and very corporate, like it was a global company, so they were less relaxed in that sense. So I ended up going freelance for a few months, 6 months or so whilst they were away. And then I'm now employed by my family business, so my dad is a financial advisor, and I now support him with marketing and communications.
Okay.
3 days a week, and then do freelance projects on the side.
Yeah.
And do mentoring for the university students that are now doing the course that I did at uni.
Wow.
So a little bit as well. So
yeah,
it's good. By doing it, it's opened up opportunities to do things that we would never have done, and now we would never go back to full-time work. Like, there's just no chance.
That's really cool. It's really awesome how open you were. Like you said, if they were going to say no, then, you know, we'd find something else. Like, if you hadn't decided to go for that route, then the chances are you'd still be where you were before the van, and you wouldn't, have got this far. Like, Courtney, you wouldn't be doing the job that you're doing now, and all that, and all that. Like, you would both still be, you wouldn't have kind of gone that one step further and realised that actually it does work. Okay, for sure, it worked. The work kind of side of things worked for one of you more than it worked for the other. But either way, you've still gained so much out of it, and it's just really is a case of just if you don't take the step, then you'll never know.
If you don't ask.
Yeah, totally. And it's so easy to think that like being safe is the easiest option, isn't it? And like, we had the security of full-time jobs, we're earning good wage, like we were able to afford to rent, and we were comfortable in our lifestyle. Like, obviously we were spending more on rent and bills and stuff than we would have liked to, and stuff that you end up spending that you don't know where your money's gone. So that's kind of just the traditional lifestyle, isn't it? And to give all of that up was a big step. And I think our families and friends at first were a bit like, whoa, that's crazy. Yeah. And then after they got over that, they were like totally supportive of it. So it was a big step, but it was so worth it now.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it looks like you, because you were on the road. So when did you leave the first time with the van? Or actually, obviously, when did you start building it and all that?
So, like, a rough timeline is 2018, we bought it in March, and then we moved into it at the end of 2019, so October. And we lived on a campsite in Leeds for the first couple of months whilst we were still working full-time, because we both agreed that sort of January was the cut-off point for full-time work, and, like, Courtney's notice period had to be worked and things like that. Mm-hmm. So we stayed in that campsite through winter, which was fun.
Yeah, it wasn't the night. Now that we've seen other campsites, that was a pretty shoddy campsite. Actually, like the shower room didn't have heating, and it was not great.
Yeah.
and then we left the UK on the 12th of January.
Yes.
Yeah. Got a ferry from Portsmouth all the way down to Santander in the north of Spain, which was a 30-odd hour crossing, and it was pretty rough. We spent most of that crossing just like vertical.
No, horizontal.
Oh,
just laid on the bed.
No.
But yeah, we got there eventually.
Yeah.
And then we were away until November, and we came back on the 1st of November. Yeah. So just under 12 months of being away.
Yeah. That's really cool. And how was those? What was it? 10 months? Would you say 10? Yeah, 10 months, 11 months.
Yeah,
11 months.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, somewhere around that. How were they? Kind of, just in general on the road. How did you figure out work? Like, were you able to figure kind of the work thing out straight away? Did you ever have problems with internet and stuff as well?
I think, if we start from the very beginning, like, we struggled to slow down. Like, that was probably one of our biggest challenges throughout that whole 10-month period, actually, when we reflect on it now, was you do this lifestyle so you can, like, enjoy your free time. But it was so ingrained in us to be go, go, go all the time, and this fast pace, and you've got no free time, so you need to see everyone and fit everything in. And we couldn't really get out of that rhythm for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
No, within the first 2 weeks, we'd went from Santander in the north of Spain right along the north coast, and then down into Portugal. And we were down at Porto, weren't we, within 3 weeks or something?
Yeah, so we covered massive ground because we were just like every couple of days we were like, we need to move, we need to go and see it, we need to see this, we need to see that. Like, we don't want to miss out on anything. And really, that's not what the lifestyle is about at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that was hard to get out of that fast-paced rhythm.
And with work as well, we were really worried to start, I think, because we landed in Spain on a a Sunday, and we worked Monday to Wednesday at that point, and we booked in on a campsite, hadn't we, for the first 3 days to like make sure we were like set up with electric and had like water near us and stuff like that. And it turned out that actually our battery power was plenty to work our laptops for the 3 days that we needed it with, especially with solar, and that we didn't actually need that base of a campsite to work from. You could we literally then, after 2 days, we left early, didn't we? And moved down to the coast and just recamped. And we thought, oh, wow, this is a lot more freer than we expected it to be. Like we expected like a regimented Monday to Wednesday will be work and we will be here and it will be like this. But actually, it was so liberating in that moment to go, oh, we could do this from the beach.
And then I'm going to look out the window and there's a beach there. Oh, it's lunchtime, it's really nice, should we go for a walk along the sand or whatever? The first day, it was a Wednesday, that we had a lunchtime walk, and we were on the north coast of Spain, and there was some dinosaur footprints that you could go and see. And like literally on our lunch break, we went and walked along this cliff, and Courtney stood in a massive dinosaur footprint, and like that was a moment for us where it was like our lunch in Leeds would have been walking down to Tesco's, getting this meal deal sandwich, and then going back to our desks and sitting and eating it, looking at a wall. And then starting work probably 20 minutes after you're not taking your full lunch break, so you've got too much to do. It was just a massive pivotal time, I think, for us.
That's amazing.
But then after we kind of settled into that rhythm, I guess it became a lot more relaxed. Once we knew that our power supply was enough and we had enough water to last, and the toilet wasn't going to get filled up over those 3 days, and the realities of it. Once we realised all of that, it became a lot more chill.
How long did it take you roughly?
Chill, I think
the whole 11 months.
I think we're still because we're still like half ingrained in like the working world. Like I still have video calls every working day with my team and things like that. That like we still struggle to slow down, I think, even now. But I think after like the first lockdown in March, where we had to literally stop for 2 months in Spain, we kind of then had a conversation where it was like, we actually just want to spend time in the quiet in the country and experiencing the country rather than going to the tourist places, rather than like seeing the sites that everyone goes and sees. I think that was like the moment where we did change how we travel.
I remember us having a conversation being like, when we go back, we felt like everyone was going to ask us, oh, did you go to Barcelona, and did you go to this, and did you go to Valencia and see that, and all the stuff that people when they go on a week or 2 week holiday have to see. We felt like we needed to see those to almost validate like the lifestyle that we were living, because we needed to see them. But actually, we don't want to see any of that stuff, because it's not the authentic or realistic view of the countries that you visit. So that being locked down in Spain for a couple of months really helped us realize what we wanted out of van life.
So,
which is kind of similar to what you guys have, I guess, now, where you're like totally free. You love being in the countryside and exploring, and that's what we love doing.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we try and avoid tourist spots as much as possible. I feel like
there's a lot of parallels, like with what you're talking about. To be honest, we definitely struggled with the slowing down. Like it's still even now, things take so much longer. Like remembering that that's okay, and that's just part of this lifestyle. Sometimes you have to really do it. What was lockdown like in Spain? What did you like? What happened?
Oh, it was hard. Like I struggled more than Courts, I think, because originally we were in where were we? Denia.
Denia.
And it was starting to like regionally lock down in Spain. So like the Valencia region, which is just north of there, that was like getting locked down fast. So we thought, well, let's go back south a bit to get the warmth and escape that lockdown. But as we moved that way, the whole of Spain locked down. So
it was within the space of like a couple of days. Like we were traveling a bit further south, thinking, oh, well, maybe just certain regions will close down, and then all of a sudden everything was shut. So
we ended up being in the Cartagena region?
Yeah, just south of Cartagena and Almeria area.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so lovely and warm in March, but we tried to stay in the van to start with, but it just felt really like claustrophobic because Spain were being really harsh on what you could and couldn't do. Like you weren't allowed out for exercise, and you had to stay in at all times. So like I was sitting there going, I can't even sit outside my van without feeling like
someone's going to walk past and tell us off or move us on. And there was all the camper van services as well shut down. So even the not stuff that's at a campsite, but just where there's a tap or the air, like they all had red tape over them. You weren't allowed to use the taps, like you weren't allowed to use all the services. So there was only a realistic amount of time that we could stay in the van before we'd start to panic and we would run out of stuff. So we made the decision, I think we were in the van for the first 2 weeks of lockdown.
Wow.
And then we decided that we were going to rent an Airbnb, like a little one-bedroom studio kind of thing. And we just locked down there for 8 weeks, I think we were there.
Wow.
And bless the woman, the host, she was so friendly. She bought us like logs, and she bought us food, and she checked in on us and wine and stuff. Yeah, she stood up for us against the Guardia Civil, who were, they kept coming round because obviously our British number plate van was parked outside. Yeah. And the next door neighbour was not happy the fact that we were there, basically. The Spanish guy was travellers, like British, they should go home to the UK. Maybe he thought we were unsafe being there. So he kept calling the police on us, and our host kept coming round and like having these shouting fights with the police outside. It was quite comedic thinking back now, but we were really scared that we were going to get chucked out and have nowhere to go.
We were. There was one time when they came around and said, "You're going to have to leave." That is what they said, and our host he's like, "Don't worry, I'll go to the local police office and they'll try and sort this out." But at that point, we were like, "Oh, we might have to drive the 1,800 miles home tomorrow." Like it genuinely got to that point, didn't it? But luckily enough, we were able to stay.
Yeah, we stayed, and we were there until middle of May, I think. Middle of May, and then we drove from there to where you guys are now, sort of Shativa area, which is just west of Valencia. Yeah. Southwest of Valencia. So we went to that area, and we had adopted a dog. So during lockdown, we'd like totally settled on this idea of living in the outdoors, living the countryside, and that then allowed us to get Sally, which is what we always wanted, but we didn't think it was realistic when we were going to be going to touristy places. So and then we went and parked at the animal shelter where we got her from, and volunteered with them for another 2 months until the middle of sort of June. And just helped them rebuild their animal shelter for a couple of months, parked outside. They were really accommodating. Yeah. And then after that, we were free again. So it was like, even though we were on the road for like 11 months, probably three of them we were stationary.
That's such a good experience though. Like you set off to do this thing, and it just happened to be something, not expected, which is awesome. But that volunteering sounds really, really cool. So did you get Sally through that? Did you go there to get her and then end up with work, or did you go to get work and then end up with her?
We found her online, so obviously like the shelters put up the dogs that they've rescued to try and get fosters or adoption for them, and we found her, and we were basically 3 or 4 hours drive away, so we weren't able to cross the regional border into that area because we were down in Almeria and she was up in Valencia. So we had to wait probably 4 weeks or something before we were allowed to move. And then by that point, we went through the like interview process on video of through the adoption center, and they like were asking where she would sleep and like, have you thought about what she'll do and if she's if she bites or anything like that. And there was a really lengthy process, and then we found out that they had accepted us, and then we just had to wait until the lockdowns eased enough for us to be able to go over there. And in that time we were saying like, oh well, we'd love to be able to help out if we can in any way. And they were saying, well, we've just moved to this new sanctuary and it's a bit of a building site, so we could really do with help with that. So we were like,
we've never built any buildings before, but we built the van, so...
Yeah, we kind of traded like a bit of our manual labour for us being able to park on their land for free. And because we knew even though the lockdown was easing, we weren't going to be able to move around freely as we wanted to still for a while. So it seemed like a good compromise, really. So yeah, it was an amazing experience, definitely, and not something that we planned to do, and nobody planned for the pandemic to hit, so we definitely had to adapt, and that changed our plans a lot.
Yeah. Did you still work whilst you were volunteering?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did our normal Monday to Wednesday, and then Thursday to Sunday we volunteered, basically. Yeah. But after work, sometimes we walked some of the dogs and looked after the puppies that were at the sanctuary and fed them and stuff. So, yeah, it was quite full on still.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, it sounds it, but it also sounds incredible. It sounds so fun and, like, just such a cool thing to do, you know, whilst you kind of come out here and then you just experience other things like that as well. I think it's definitely something that's like kind of almost needed and stuff in life sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. And we met other people whilst on the road who have done similar things, but they've done like work away.
Yeah.
So through the work app, they would go and say, okay, well, we know our money's going to last until this time, so we'll go and do 3 weeks at this place, and you meet local people, and you meet their families, and you get tips on the area and things that local people do in the area, rather than just what you find on TripAdvisor and blogs online. So it's a great way to travel. Yeah, it's a better way to travel, I would say, to spend longer periods of time getting to know an area.
Absolutely. And we were able to, like, where the sanctuary was based, it was in the middle of like this massive orange grove of like and we were able to spend our time exploring this like orange grove every morning with the dog, and we were able to train her in a nice quiet environment, and like that would have never have happened if the pandemic had happened. We would probably never have got Sally, because we would have kept traveling in the way that we were at the start, and it was just like, obviously it's a horrible thing that's happened, but when on reflection we've been able to benefit from it because of how it's changed our lifestyle, which is, I guess, a positive way of looking at all the bad that it's brought the world this year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely. Oh man, you've definitely got this kind of like pandemic. It's, you know, you can either let it kind of just slap you in the face and just, you know, let it walk all over you, or you can, like you said, adapt and almost make the most of it in the way that you can. Sure, some people haven't been as lucky and so on, but you know, it's I guess even like you guys now, like you're saying, you know, you've taken the moment or the chance to rebuild the van, which is awesome. It's such a kind of a good way to use that time. But why, like, so obviously you kind of did all that, and then I guess you continued to travel around Europe, and then you came home in November. Why, what were your kind of thoughts of, you know, what were you thinking of doing after that before you decided to redo the van?
Well, we had to come home because of our MOT was due in December, start of January, so we had to come home for that. And I don't know, I think the other thing was that Brexit obviously happened, so that came into force in January, so we were lucky that we were able to have the year that we had before there were any restrictions on timings of being away, so that's massively going to change from when we go away again. So we didn't really know when we came home, what the next 6, 12, 2 years like would hold for us, I guess.
Yeah.
No, but I think then it was kind of like, well, we need to come home, so let's come home, and then we almost, as we were on the way home, we decided that, like, as much as we were looking forward to selling DeeDee at the time when we listed her, we realised how attached we'd become to her, and we thought, like, there's not anything mechanically or huge bodywork that we changed apart from the dent that I made in the van in France, but like, we just wanted to optimize the layout so that after a year of living we could, like, utilize all the learnings that we had. And we also wanted to save a bit of weight in her because she was quite heavy, so
she was hefty, wasn't she?
Girl. So one of the main mistakes we made was that the subfloor that we put in was so heavy that to take that out, we basically had to take everything out. So we used it as trying to flip a negative to a positive. We used it as a bit of an opportunity to go, right, okay, well, what else can we change? And we've changed the wood cladding to plastic, and loads of other ways.
We changed the whole layout, basically, haven't we? We started off, with this idea, okay, we want a new project maybe, or we want to apply our learnings from this year, like you say, and do another van. So that's when we looked at listing and selling her. So we met. And then we decided, actually, we don't, coming home and not having a home of our own, like a house to go to, knowing that the UK is going into another lockdown as well at that time. We didn't feel comfortable losing our only home fully, not knowing how the price of vans are going to go up as well. We kind of anticipated that they're going to get more expensive as more people want to buy them. So to buy a new one at that time maybe wasn't the right choice. And that's how we decided, okay, well, let's change this and let's change that. And then that plan just grew and grew and grew. We're like, okay, so we're basically just starting from scratch.
But now we've got a plan, right?
Now we have a plan, just about, It's nearly done now, so we're nearing the end.
That is really cool.
That's definitely a piece of advice I would give to people who were thinking of building a van, is to do it as cheaply as possible the first time around. Do the layout you think you want, use reclaimed materials. It won't look perfect, it won't be your vision. Then live in it for 6 to 12 months, then rip it out and do it properly.
I like that. I do like it. Especially that as you kind of live in it a bit more, I guess just like a house, but, the fact that you're also driving it around, things kind of break and, like the wooden and the cladding kind of starts to split and things like that. So it's definitely, like, worth putting your time and money into it, but not kind of, it's not going to stay perfect and stuff.
It's never going to be the finished product.
It's always going to need work and stuff, for sure. But when
none of us have ever lived in like a 4 meter long space before, so knowing what's going to work in that space, you have to make assumptions about how you're going to live in it, and then the reality might be a little bit different. So,
well, the thing is as well, I guess there's the case of like, you have the choice to, like, I know you guys had like a sofa that turns into a bed, and you've now made it into like is it an extendable bed with a garage underneath? Am I right in saying that? Yeah,
and it's like a floating bed, and then it pulls out over the top of the kitchen units and the seat.
I love that. It's such a good idea. But I guess, like, to some people, the sofa and the that turns into a bed is like the best thing, but then to others, having a garage and a bed that never folds away is the best thing. And it's kind of a case of, you have to try it out,
and
then
know until you're doing it.
Exactly.
But so when you obviously returned in the first place before you decided to keep the van, were you planning on kind of going back to work full time and just going back to normal kind of life, I guess you could say, or was that still out of the question and you were going to be figuring out something different to continue the new lifestyle that you were living?
Yeah, so normal life in air speech marks is never, as far as we can control it, is never going to return for us. The way that we've lived this last year and the way that we want to live is just so vastly different to it, and we're immensely happier now, I think, than we were when we were living in Leeds in rented accommodation. And these changes that we've made to our lives have also meant that we can actually save quite a bit of money each month, and that's given us opportunities, or at least the idea of opportunities to be able to save quite well, and to then give us more options in the future. So life for us at the moment is going to be continuing part-time work, continuing to engage with communities that we've got on Instagram and YouTube and stuff, and save for a future which will give us options, whether that is another van, whether that's a houseboat, whether that's land in a country unknown, but that's what life is over the next many months and years.
You did do full-time work for 1 month when we came back, though.
Oh yeah, it was hard.
It was hard, wasn't it? You were so tired.
I was genuinely knackered.
Why did I do this all the time?
Yeah,
just good to help them out. You had someone had left, and then you were like, okay, well, I'll fill in the time until the new person starts. But yeah, you said it was hard work, so props to other people still working full time. It's not easy.
No, I guess when you kind of take a step back and you start to live like you have for the last year, and then you have to kind of throw yourself back in there, it's definitely not easy at all. I mean, I can't really say it because I've never done it, but I can imagine that it's just kind of one of the worst things, really.
Yeah, it was just mentally draining was the main thing. It was just like, I don't have the capacity to think in this way for 8 hours a day for 5 days a week. It was...
I don't think most people do. I think the problem is like it's almost just become this thing where you work more than you have free time. But you're expected to be productive for 8 hours out of the day. But actually, like scientifically, your brain can only focus for, I don't know, what is it, like, I don't know the stats, but it's like an hour or a couple of hours before you need a break. And you need time to refresh and then come back to it. And I always find that my work is way better when I take a bit of headspace, leave it, and then come back to it. But working life is like, you've got a task list, your manager's giving you stuff, you need to get that done so you can get on to the next thing.
For sure.
It's like, it's just churn, isn't it? Rather than
and I guess
doing your best work.
Yeah. I guess it's always also like, it's a case of, oh, I finished this. Oh, okay, well then let me find you another job. It's like, no, this isn't how it should be.
It's totally true. And the thought of doing that, I mean, what are they saying now? That like we'll live to like 80s or 90s, the average person. So, and we're not. The retirement age is going to go up. The pension age for our generation is going to be like in the 70s. Like, I don't want to be working until I'm like 75. Like, so that's our goal now. I think when you're talking about us being able to live this life to save, is like we want to achieve like financial freedom in the future. That's our main goal.
Yeah. I mean, sounds like a pretty good goal to us.
yeah.
Oh no, that's cool. What let's like. So obviously with your van build at the moment, kind of how's it going and stuff? Well, I mean, I've obviously been, we follow you on Instagram and we love kind of, also actually, just quick question, why the orange? What's with the orange? I love it. I'm all in for the orange, but like, is it like, I'm assuming it's your favourite colour, right? I'm assuming you don't hate the colour. But,
we might hate the colour in years to come when we think of it, but
I think the orange was it was a happy accident. We bought DeeDee because she was not a white van. It wasn't because she was orange, it was because she was different to all the other white vans that were out there. And no disrespect to white vans, like They have a definite place, but we wanted something that was a little bit different. And we've just that's just growing, hasn't it? You started to wear orange all the time, and we're both sitting here in orange jumpers. And now every picture that we put on Instagram has to have a bit of orange in it or something like that. It's like,
it's just got like a brand thing. We just adopted it, and it's just grown and maybe got a bit out of control. But
not at all. I think it's
move away from it now.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I think that's one of the reasons why DeeDee jumped out at us when we came across her online, because obviously, not going into too much of our story, but obviously we needed to find an already converted van for a reason. For anyone listening to this podcast, if you want to know the reason, then head on over to us. But yeah, so we were looking, we also are quite, we like kind of slightly different and stuff, obviously, hence why one of the reasons we're here in a van right now. But yeah, we didn't really want a white van, and when yours came up, obviously the inside was incredible already, but we had already kind of seen you on social media and stuff, and it was like, oh my god, this is like, I know who these people are, I know who this van is. And it's funny actually, because I remember emailing you guys when we were, by this point we were pretty desperate for a van because our rent was coming up and we had barely any time left, and I had like a skim through the details that you'd left on the website, and I was like, oh, this is perfect, like this could be the one. And it was just, everything about it, the colour was standing out and all that. And then I remember emailing you, and then I then looked back at the details, and it was like, oh, this is currently like, I don't know, it was maybe like August or something, and you weren't coming back until November, and I was like, oh no, like clearly not meant to be.
Wouldn't have worked out for you, would they? You needed to be out of your accommodation within like a month or something?
Yeah, we needed to be out by September. And yeah, obviously you weren't coming back until November, and it was like we could potentially try and figure something out until then, but I want to be out of the UK.
yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so yeah, when it jumped out, it was like, okay, this is cool. But no, I think I like the whole, you know, different colour. And really cool. One thing that we keep saying, that we've said since kind of day one, is, you know, we will kind of, if we keep this particular van for longer, we will probably get it spray painted. But at the same time, like, you know, that's when kind of we have the money to spare and stuff, and or we'll just
it's not cheap to get it sprayed.
No, exactly. Or the next van, you know, will definitely be something kind of slightly quirkier.
A cool colour.
But no, I do like the orange
as well. That we think it's like a security thing. I don't know whether this is true, but in my mind, I thought like people are less likely to nick a bright orange van because it'll be easier to spot on the road. So that was something in my mind. Whether it would, I mean, they could hide it in a garage or quickly get it sprayed. I don't know, but in my mind, that gave me a little bit of a sense of security that people might be put off by that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that, because I guess, yeah, like you said, it's unique, whereas a white van, there's white vans everywhere.
Yeah, you can't. She's not exactly stealth, so you can't miss her like in a car park or something.
Yeah, I guess that is the only thing. But how's your so yeah, what I was saying before I asked the question. Obviously, I'm loving the kind of regular updates of van build number 2. And I've seen that you've gone for some slightly different colours inside as well for like the seats and stuff, which looks pretty cool. But how's it going? Oh, can you hear us?
Still here, yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, how's it going? How's Van 2.0 going?
She's going well, to be fair. We're nearing 4 months of actual work, and we're on to the final stretch.
Yeah, we don't want to we say that lightly, you know, when you say, the list's getting longer. And I forgot about that, yeah.
We've done all the major jobs, like the heating's back together, although it's not tested yet. The plumbing's back together, it's not tested yet. And the gas is mostly in, but it's not tested yet. We've got all the main components built. It's now just the bits where you've got to install the drawers and
the fiddly stuff. Basically, we're now on to lots of little jobs that all take longer than you anticipate. So we're not in any particular rush to get done now that especially with the lockdown announcements here in the UK, that we can't really go anywhere until the middle of April. So we're not in any rush. We're lucky to be staying with Meeks' mum until we can get back in the van. So that's lucky. But it's going really well. It's a much nicer process this time around compared to the first time, because we have a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of experience. It's like, okay, we need to build a drawer. Last time it would have been like, right, panic for 3 hours. How do I do that? I don't know what I'm doing. And then procrastinate, argue with each other. One of us would fight for one way to do it. The other one would fight for the other way to do it. And neither of us knew which was the right way. Now we're like, okay, we need to build a drawer. Let's go and do that. So it makes it a lot more enjoyable, and we can be a lot more creative with it. So like that extending bed solution, we never would have thought about that the first time around, because we wouldn't have had the knowledge or the guts to probably try it the first time. But yeah, it's been enjoyable.
Yeah. Would you say that there's more testing moments in this build or the other build, the first build?
Ooh, I don't know. I think it's difficult to compare because they're different kind of tests. So the first one was learning from the very beginning, whereas this one is now we have bigger creative ideas. It's how do we use the limited knowledge we've got to put them into play and make them work. So
for me, the first one was absolutely more testing than this one, but not necessarily because of doing the build. Like, I think any problem can be surmounted with the right time and the right mindset. But the biggest thing for me was we were working full time, and there was this nagging doubt of, is it going to happen? And you could almost feel people going, well, are they going to actually move into the van? Are they going to finish it? And I probably weren't. But you know, when it's in the back of your mind, we've made this huge investment and we're doing it in our spare time, but are we actually ever going to do it? And that for me was like a real hard thing to manage, whilst also trying to build drawers for the first time ever.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. What like in general, what's been your kind of most testing thing? Has the van build been the most testing thing, or has something else, you know, like Ben just said, adjusting to the life, or something else? Maybe something happened whilst you were on the road. What's kind of been the most testing thing across this whole time of from the moment you decided that you were going to go for van life till now?
Like it's really funny that you asked that, because like we were thinking about this sort of thing the other day, and it was like, I feel like everything's been great, and like I don't know whether that's just like us trying to put a positive spin on everything, but I guess the first van build was tough, juggling it with normal life. But one of the moments from when we were away was when we were in France in like June, July. Yeah. We were driving through this like little sleepy village in the south of France, and all of a sudden we just heard this like dragging noise like along under the van, and we were like, oh my god, that sounds really bad. So we pulled into like a little car park and Courtney got out to look underneath, and there was nothing dragging. We were like, it fell off. So then we were looking back along the road, and there was nothing there, and then I kept driving back and forward, and then there was this horrible like rattling metal sound,
like a clunking noise. Yeah, it was horrid.
So we phoned the AA, who sent out a Gerard Picamal, who is like the local registered mechanic, and
with a truck that was way too small to take
our truck
anywhere. We said the AA, like, we've got a 7-meter long van, like it's big. And they were like, okay, and they sent this tiny little truck, and this guy turned up and he was like shaking his head, like speaking in French, like no, I'm not taking that anywhere.
So he tried to diagnose the problem at the side of the road, and had the rear wheels off, and basically what had happened was our handbrake had kind of disintegrated.
Wow.
So inside the rear wheel, the pieces of handbrake were cranking around, and which made that noise that we thought something had dropped off. So,
it like crumbled, hadn't it?
Yeah. So we eventually were able to follow him back to the garage, and they gave us a bill for, well, a quote for fixing the handbrake, putting new brake pads on, new tires on the rear because they were like
the tread was completely gone.
But they couldn't fit us in until the week after, so we had to drive away, and like we spent a week next to a river in the south of France. So don't get me wrong, that was lovely. But we didn't have a handbrake, and
he was like, just don't park on a hill.
And then we came back and to get the work done, and he said, be like 3:00 sort of thing. So at that time it was 8 a.m. So we didn't have anywhere to go apart from into the local town. So we spent the day with us and Sally just kind of wandering around
in the heat with a dog who like doesn't like people. At the time she doesn't like people, she doesn't like busy places, so she wasn't walking basically, she would just lay down on the ground. So that was challenging. It was like 35 degrees, it was boiling, and we were like, it was a bit stressy. And I think everyone who's had their van in the garage, like when it's your home, it's like, what are we supposed to do? I'm pretty sure I've seen on your story before as well that you've been waiting for the garage and then you're just standing outside. Don't know what to do. Like, my lunch is inside there, like all my stuff's inside there. Like,
we made like a day pack, didn't we?
Yeah.
We got sun cream and we got absolutely burnt.
Yeah, but that was really testing weekend. I think like the first major breakdown that you have, and then on top of that, when before it got fixed, when we got to this river, we got stuck in the sand. So it took like an hour and a half trying to dig our way out of the sand, and it was just happening in like one day. It was just way too much for us to handle. We were on our way to meet some friends who were only going to be traveling through France for like 2 days, so we had a short window to be able to see them. They were waiting for us. It was just quite stressful. But we came through the other side. It was fine.
Sure.
The van took longer than expected to get fixed, and it wasn't actually fixed. So when we got back to the UK, had our MOT, they were like, they didn't actually fix that problem. They didn't fix the handbrake. So, or they changed one part but not another. So we ended up paying for it twice. So it is what it is. But that was quite a testing weekend for sure, especially because that was soon after we came out of lockdown.
Yeah. Oh, crazy. I mean, still worth it, like you said, I guess.
Yeah.
Still worth this life. But I guess it does come, you know, this life does come with that kind of thing. Sadly, but I guess it's like anything, any life, you know, you live in a house and your boiler breaks down and you've got no boiler for however long and all this. So I guess it's kind of a case of you just see the good and the bad and you just go with both.
Yeah, I think when the lifestyle that we live, like, it pushes you out of comfort into like awkward feeling, like like and with that comes problems. But when you overcome those problems, you grow as a person for it. So like we know next time when we hear a noise in the van, right? Okay, it's bad, but we don't need to panic. We've got a breakdown. We'll get through speaking to someone that doesn't speak French when we don't speak. Sorry, doesn't speak English when we don't speak French, and we will get through it. It sort of gives you that like base to be able to tackle new problems with.
For sure, we can relate.
And it's trying to stay level-headed, I think, with when those problems arise. Like, not think, like, instantly you hear a problem, you go, oh my god, the van's broken. It's like the engine's probably going. We've spent so much money on it. We're not going to have a house. And like, I totally do that when there's a problem, and I think of every single possibility that could go wrong off the back of this one small problem, and then it, like, the pressure of the problem just gets worse and worse, and that's not the way to approach an issue at all.
No, for sure. It's like, it's funny you say that. It's every time we're driving, you know, like especially in Spain, they love to like burn wood in the fields and stuff. And every time we drive past and I smell it, I'm like, what's that? What's that smell? Is it the van? Ben's like, no, Laura, that's wood. I'm like, okay, it's okay. It's not my hand.
Totally,
We know that feeling.
What's obviously once the van build is finished, kind of whenever that will be, what's your kind of plan? Like, you know, what's the next big thing? Are you going to head back out? Obviously Brexit in the way, but are you going to head back out or live in the UK?
Yeah, we're
or is it
kind of
secret?
A mix of both, really. There's not a secret, I guess. It's like we're going to be close to the UK because even though we were away, we haven't really seen any family or friends since we left in January, because when we got back, we've gone straight to lockdown and things. So we're going to stick around the UK.
Begrudgingly.
To hopefully when things ease up a bit, to see some friends and family. And we want to see Ireland as well, so it's probably a good opportunity to see Ireland in a bit of a summertime. And then we really want to spend like winter in warm areas. So we're looking at sort of maybe October time, heading towards Bulgaria and then into Greece for like Christmas, New Year and January and stuff. And then coming back up after that. So we get the best of Europe and we miss out on a British winter because we spent it here this time, and
we're done. We've had our quilt.
That's enough for you guys. That sounds cool. That sounds really. I like the idea of Bulgaria and Greece over the winter time. Sounds like a really nice idea. Well, hopefully, obviously, you'll be able to kind of get out with no problems, especially, you know, into the UK and Ireland, and then later on in Europe. But I guess it's just a case of just taking it one step at a time.
Yeah, you have to.
Going with the flow.
We're hopefully thinking that like the end of the year, like October time, international travel should be allowed, and we'll probably have been vaccinated by that point, and then we shall be able to travel as freely as we can with all the Brexit and all that jazz. Not planning it for May, I think, is a good thing for us because there's less chance of being disappointed or missing out.
For sure.
And also Sally is obviously Spanish, our dog, so like we don't, with Brexit there's rules about taking your pets and having to get certificates, but because she's Spanish, she actually has more rights in the European Union than we do, so she can be there for as long as she wants.
So is that is that a hint and tip to all of us who want a dog to get one in Europe?
Yeah, potentially. We have heard that if people want pets, like, or have British pets, they're getting, when they go to Europe, they're going to the vets and getting a European passport for them, because then essentially when they come back to the UK, they're on holiday in the UK.
Okay.
But then they're at home when they're away, so that's a tip anyway. Otherwise, you have to get vet certificates, which cost you like 50 quid.
Yeah.
And they only last for 4 months, and then you have to have the same one to get you back into the UK that you took out, and it's just become a lot more complicated getting in and out of the UK with pets now. So
yeah, so it's a good thing to know.
Rescue abroad.
We'll definitely keep that in mind.
Interesting. So we might be seeing a furry little friend coming onto your Instagram.
Oh gosh, we'll see. It's we'd love to, but see what happens. If it just appears at our doorstep, then we'll take it in. But we'll see. It is so cool that people are kind of like you guys adopting whilst on the road and all that. I do think that's a really, really cool thing to do.
Especially in Spain and Portugal, like animals are not treated the same as we treat them in the UK. Like they're part of the family, like here, but in Spain and Portugal, they're just kind of protection and they're kept outside a lot of the time. There's a lot more street dogs, so it's definitely the place to do it. Not to say that there's not dogs who need rehoming in the UK, because there are.
Sure. Yeah. No, I hear you. Awesome. Well, let's. 3 more questions that we're going to ask you. The last 3 that we like to kind of wrap up. We always say it's a quick fire round, but it kind of always ends up being a pretty long fire. But you did kind of, I guess, mention this at the start, perhaps, but it wasn't kind of maybe clear that it was advice. But what kind of advice would you give to someone who's looking at taking, who's looking at leaving that kind of work life and throwing themselves into something slightly different? What's your advice?
I think this is an interesting one, because a lot of the times you hear people say, like, just do it, like whatever it is, just do it. But I think that's almost like a false positive, in that if someone just does it without a plan, then there's a lot. In my view, there's a chance of it failing quite badly. So I think if you've got a dream, it's like, okay, take a snapshot of where you are now, and then a snapshot of your mind of where you want to be, and start to build a roadmap of what the steps are to get there. So for us, it was like, right, we want to be in a van, but we don't have the financial means to do so right now. So we looked at what can we save each month. Realistically, not very much. Why is that? Okay, because we spend it on all this extra stuff. So we ended up looking at all that and taking out a loan to pay for the van, to allow us to live the lifestyle cheaper, so we could pay off the loan quicker and then start saving. So like it's that roadmap that makes a dream become reality, rather than the just doing it. Because when you write something down on a piece of paper, or even say it to someone, it becomes more real, rather than just saying just do it. So that'd be my advice, is to build out a plan in your head or on a piece of paper to say, how do I get to where I can just do it?
Yeah, and look at there'll be different ways of getting there. So like for us, like you say about we took out a loan, we weighed up the thought of, okay, well, we could save £200, £300 a month, whatever it might have been, but that be able to make the amount we would need to buy the van and do the conversion, it's going to take us like 6 years. Are we prepared to wait 6 years? Okay, then take out the loan now and repay it every month. That's a more realistic way of doing it for us. And we were able to make that choice. So it's weighing up your options and looking at the different roads ahead of you and saying, okay, which one do I want to take?
Because I guess that's the thing. There's always a way. There's always a road to take. Like it's not just one. If you have one in mind, like you said, write it down, and you'll soon find yourself on loads of different roads that you can choose from.
Yeah, totally.
Love that advice. Something you're yet to tick off your bucket list, if you have one, or list of grand experiences.
We don't really have a bucket list, do we?
No, not really.
But I think grand experiences, like, I've always had this fascination with Russia, and I'd absolutely love to take the van kind of up into the Arctic Circle through Norway and come in through the top, through the peninsula up there, which I've forgotten its name, and I probably couldn't pronounce it anyway, and spend as much time as the visa would allow in Russia. However, with the dog, the vaccination rules and things like that for traveling with a dog in Russia are complicated, to say the least. So it might not be a right now plan, but it could be a
one in the future. I guess we don't have a bucket list for right now, but we have places on our list that we want to go. Like I would love to do India, and you've done some of Asia, but I never have, so I'd love to do that. whether those places lend themselves to living in a van and driving there, I'm not sure. But maybe there's another route. Yeah, Meeks is like, yeah, totally, we'll drive to India. It would make good content, yeah.
For sure. Definitely would.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's awesome. And last one, what mantra do you go by?
Oh my goodness. Do we have a mantra?
I don't know. Right now, it's quite pertinent about problem solving. I think that any problem can be solved with the right mindset and the right amount of time. I think that's something that we've really been able to practice this time on the van. In that, okay, we've come across a problem, rather than getting stressed out about it, which still happens. But let's think about it as from a point of view, and let's talk about it, and let's try and overcome it together. And I think that has really helped us accelerate the speed of what we've been able to do this time.
Yeah, definitely. So I listened to a podcast by Jay Shetty. He's like a Think Like a Monk, so you guys might have heard it. And he says that when you're looking at a problem, think of it as on a scale of 1 to 10. Say 10 is the worst thing that could possibly happen to you. Say death, for example. Now, where does your problem sit on that scale? It's probably a 1.
Yeah.
It's not really that big of a deal. And it's just framing the problem in the context of where you are in life, and trying to bring a bit of gratefulness back to it, I guess. So that's kind of what we're trying to do. It doesn't always work. And also laughing it off. So we heard from someone else that if you're literally at the point of stress where you want to cry, or a problem is facing you, force yourself to laugh, because actually just laughing releases good endorphins in your body. It feels really weird to be oh my god on the inside, and actually on the outside be
I love
panic
that.
attack. But it's actually, it does work sometimes. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
They're not really mantras. But.
Yeah. No. Honestly, they're perfect. I must admit, I think did you not post about that a little while ago on Instagram? I'm pretty sure I saw a post about just laughing about everything, or I don't know, but I love the kind of, like you said, obviously you always have orange in your post, and it's always so colourful and positive and just so fun, and the pictures that you share of your build and stuff it's never just here's the build, look at this. It's always something that's just fun and light-hearted and stuff, and I love it. It's just it's definitely energy that everyone needs in their life, which is awesome. So
thank you.
No, that's honestly, really I love it. I love following and I mean we're so excited to see the result of this, obviously the progression, but also the result of this next van, and what you end up doing with it.
Yeah, where are you
amazing
going?
But thank you so much.
We loved having a chat with you.
Oh, it's been so fun. Yeah, for
so
sure.
Quickly.
Yeah, I know. It always does. It's is that the time already? It's crazy. And there's always definitely still so much more that we'd love to kind of talk about. But obviously you need to shoot off anyway, and we don't want to kind of go on for too long. We'll probably just have to do another one sometime in the near future, and how's Van 2.0 in Russia going?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah, awesome. It'd be great to chat again. We'd love to come back on.
Definitely. Awesome. Well, we will keep in touch for sure. Thank you so much for jumping on and chatting to us and listening to us and sharing your stories. We really appreciate it. So, thank you to you. And have a wonderful rest of your day, weekend, van build, whatever you're doing. Enjoy the sun. Blue skies, even if it is cold. And
we will try.
Awesome, good. But we'll definitely.
Thanks so much for having us, guys. It's been fab.
No, honestly,
awesome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you on and finally speak in kind of person over the phone, obviously, as well. But
amazing.
Awesome. Well, we will definitely catch up again soon. And thank you so much.
All right, thanks guys. Take care. We'll speak soon.
Definitely speak soon.
Bye.
You have been listening to the Less Trodden Path podcast with Laura and Benedict. Make sure you subscribe to us on whichever platform it is you're using. If you would like to feature on the Less Trodden Path podcast, then head over to our website, thelesstroddenpath.com. Thank you for listening. The Less Trodden Path podcast is sponsored by imakesounds.com, music for content creators. If If you're looking for royalty-free music to feature on your own podcast, blogs, YouTube videos and more, then head over to imakesounds.com.